Hello and welcome to Odin, Open Dialogue of Ideas and News. Today, we have Max and Shannon with us, regular Max.
Yeah, what's up?
And Shannon, who is a graduated H&FV major from Virginia Tech. She's also a certified personal trainer, is very interested in all things fitness.
Hi.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, Shannon?
Sure. H&FE, that's Human Nutrition, Foods, and Exercise. So that was my bachelor's degree. Graduated in 2017 and kind of have like a pretty well-rounded base of knowledge for like all things health and fitness related. And that's kind of been part of my life for a long time.
So what really drives you about the fitness industry? Or not industry, but what do you want to see change in the world of fitness?
I really like how every person, so I could, myself impact so many people just from like what I tell people or help people do. So I like that I have that kind of like control. And I like the fact that I can help people. It's not just like I'm trying to sell things and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's what I kind of try to look for in what I do. A lot of people, it's more just like a job, people trying to sell things like I just said. But that's what I like about my personal take in that field.
I think it's kind of interesting thinking about how so much fitness information is just passed around colloquially from, I'm at the gym with my bros at the gym, and it's like, oh, if you do this, it'll be better and things like that. I think it's neat being sort of at the top of that information supply chain.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. And it's also like really fascinating. The things that you learn that your body does and like what works, what doesn't work, what this does, what that does or doesn't do. So I think it's really interesting just personally to know that, but then also to be able to help people know that is awesome.
Cool. Does it frustrate you that a lot of people like aren't interested in knowing that because like how much it can help them?
It's not so much frustrating that they aren't interested. It's more frustrating that so I would think that from a younger age, we need to be taught how important it is. Like, we do PE and stuff in elementary school, but I feel like nobody has ever really taught the importance. So it's more like ignorance. So I can't really get frustrated with people who don't care because I feel like it's more just they never knew, growing up that was something that was really important. But yeah, I wish people knew more for sure.
It's funny you bring up PE. What that makes me think about immediately is how much of a waste it is, like that we go to PE for like first 10, 11 years of, I don't know, education, but we're not really taught anything.
Yeah. I was taught like how to play sports and stuff, not like how to keep my body healthy.
And not just that, but it's also like a lot of the things that you do learn about that are not even true at all. Yeah. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Like, do you have some examples?
Just, I don't know, just like basic things. Certain exercises will do this or that, and, running and cardio and stuff, that's also good for you. And everybody should try to do this and do that. I can't think of anything specific, I guess, but there's just so much. There's so many things that are just like taught at an age like that are just not even true.
So I'm really interested in fitness as well. And I see a lot of like new studies coming out all the time. Especially about metabolism, how much of the like science is set?
Yeah, so that's actually something I was just reading about the other day. It's like, so what you have to kind of do is take everything with a grain of salt. When people say there's new research and new studies out, it doesn't mean that that's the new rule or that's the new law. That's just a piece of information that we're learning. So people need to kind of take a look at the bigger picture. Which doesn't usually happen. So it's not like one way or another. It's just kind of like everybody should consider everything before they make a decision on what's best for them.
Mm-hmm. But they don't really have, I'm not going to say no one has the time for that, but that's a lot to go through. Like, where do you...
Well, I guess that's why we have professionals.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I was going to say, where do you think they should get that information from?
Exactly, professionals. Because it's a lot of information and a lot of work, and I can understand why, if it was, anything other than what my career is going to be, I don't know if I would have the time or energy to want to look into it, you know? So I think that'd be the best option is going to professionals.
That goes back to what you were talking about, Max, with everyone kind of just like throwing out like what's worked for them and like people trying that. Do you think that like gives a lot of bad information?
Definitely. Because everybody's so different. There's almost nothing that I can say that's conclusive for what will or won't work for everybody. Because really it's just a matter of, you know, everybody is so unique. So it's kind of hard to say that this definitely will or won't work for somebody.
Okay. I also interesting as I'm hearing that, I think about how so many people, regardless of their source of information, it's usually just the first thing they read. They're like, that's how things work. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And that idea of hearing that first new study, thinking, oh, that's the new how things work. As I mean, we study physics, and I think it's interesting seeing parallels of how people inside the industry deal with hearing new scientific information and all that versus people who
there's
on the
a
outside.
new title of some like blog or something that talks about how quantum mechanics is involved in like relationships and stuff like that all the time. It's kind of ridiculous.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh man, it's like eye roll.
I'm thinking about what are some sort of tips, advice, or things like that for somebody. Okay, here's a good one. Somebody who's sort of new to the world of fitness. I started lifting like 2 years ago, and I was pretty new to it. And I would have really appreciated hearing some more tips and things like that. What's not so much specific advice, but where to start off trying to get information, trying to figure out how to.
I actually love, my favorite clients are beginners because I love being the person that's like able to, like I said, to just, you know, tell them, set them off on the right path.
Yeah.
If I didn't have a trainer and I was a beginner, looking from my perspective, I would probably just try to do a little bit of research. It's a lot of information. There's so many ways that you can find like credible links and stuff online, books that aren't just, you know, people trying to sell you things or just fake, you know, news articles on like livestrong.com, you know. They're actual things that are really accessible to people. So that's always like a good place to start. You can also go to people who have a little more experience that aren't necessarily like a professional, but maybe some friend that you have that has gone to the gym for a couple years, and even if it's not perfect, they still might know something that can help you, you know, start off on the right path.
Yeah, that really helped me when I was starting out, is just having friends who are more experienced.
Right.
And even if they didn't know necessarily what to do, they might have more information as to
exactly.
point me what's a credible source, things like that. Yeah. I think something else that I'm hearing from you, a recurring theme is in doing your research, do research and look at a lot of different sources before you just come to some conclusion and then go out and hurt yourself or something.
I'd say most of those, like the more heavier resources, like the books and stuff, there's not really much false information spread around in those, are there?
No, because for the most part, especially like my textbooks through college are so, you know, matter of fact and like this is how it is. It's more about like, so that's all more about the science. What the articles are spreading misinformation about is like this style is going to work for you or it's going to work for you. So it really is just kind of about finding like those good resources. And obviously textbooks aren't, you know, something that's everybody can just go get from, you know, the library or the internet. Not that anybody would even want to. So that's hard.
Read a whole textbook.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of interesting that people wouldn't, when those are going to be your best resources, that's kind of funny.
Yeah,
people always take the like shortest path they can.
I know, which sucks, but I understand. Like I said, you know,
Time's
people don't
limited.
have that time, right? And I even have like a lot of my clients. So the type of training I do is in-home personal training. So that's for usually people who don't have time to make it to the gym or, you know, just are new to it, nervous, whatever, and typically more affluent. So they can afford to have me come, you know, tell them everything and like not have to worry about, you know, preparing for an hour to go to the gym, drive there, drive back. So I feel like that's kind of an advantage to having me as like that resource, but I can also see why for a lot of people that's just not even
Not
a
as
realistic
accessible.
Not
option.
part of the equation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of your clients, what are like some of the primary goals that you see people trying to go for? Like, do you see people mainly just trying to lose weight or?
I think probably 80% of my clients have been weight loss clients. Only a handful weight gain or muscle gain, and then kind of the rest just maintenance, where they're at. They're not really sure, kind of bored with their workouts maybe or something like that. But yeah, for the large majority, it's weight loss.
Do you usually find you're working with people who are total beginners, or are these? How often do you find yourself finding people who have some experience but really want to be like working with a professional?
Right. For me personally, I kind of, like I said, I love working with beginners, so I kind of gravitate towards working with them. That's for me personally. There are so many trainers who work with professional athletes
Yeah.
or people, marathon training who are obviously, well educated on running and lifting and stuff like that, but they just want to kind of fine tune. I don't work with people like that as much. So for the most part, they're like all beginners.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I've noticed this watching Gazal, who's also part of the podcast. When she tutors people, it's either people that like are complete like noobs, beginners, or they're like really ahead of the pack and they're just trying to like get to the very top.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a problem that like people in the middle like think they have enough information, they might keep doing some bad things?
I mean, I definitely think so because the amount of information that you have to learn about, I mean, I don't know everything, so I know that those middle people don't know as much as they could know or really should know. So that's definitely a problem.
And I think we've sort of focused on the side of injury and research as a tool towards helping you not injure yourself. But the other side of this is just, whatever your goal is, if you know what you're doing, you're going to be so much more successful. When I started lifting for the first like year and a half of me lifting, I just wasn't eating enough because I didn't realize how much you needed to eat.
Yeah.
And not a whole lot was happening. And then I started eating and there was a huge difference. So like, I don't know. Knowing what you're doing it's really good. There's
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that is the primary focus, like the injury side of it, because, you see
that
even,
comes first.
Right. Even people in the gym who are like, these huge buff guys, I'll see them doing things. I'm like, you are doing that so wrong. It cannot be good for you. And you might not feel it now, but you're going to feel it later, And then on the other side, it's like that small percentage that really are not doing the best thing for their goals. They'd get there a lot faster and a lot safer if they were doing it a different way.
Yeah.
What are some of the main things you see people doing wrong? Maybe some myths that get spread around.
Okay, so physically in the gym, form is just always off unless, it's somebody who has education in it or has had a trainer or somebody who can help them with that. I mean, that's something you can look into, but it's also really hard to just read about it or see a video and then do it. You kind of need that help, that guidance. So physically, that's probably the biggest problem that I see. Then as far as like other myths, the worst problem in the fitness industry right now is social media. Drives me crazy. It is just full of people who either have no idea what they're doing and it's working for them, but, thinking that they're helping other people and it's just not true. Or it's just people that, even if they do know what they're doing, they're not really spreading the information in a way that's helpful. They're kind of just selling themselves and their package, which is understandable. Like I said, it's a job and it's a career, but those are definitely, that's the biggest problem that I see.
Does that irritate you that it's viewed as like an industry instead of a way to help people?
Yes, it does, because that's like why I want to be involved. And like I even worked for a company that was not about, actually helping. It was way more about the profit, and that sucks. I hate that. And I know that people, that's fine. Like if that's what they want to do it for, that's okay. But it really sucks because then it's like you're not helping that person in the best way that you can. You're just trying to sell them something,
Yeah.
So that really sucks. Personally, I
It's
don't like
almost
that.
like it's just a level above being a doctor, basically. And doctors have this whole like Hippocratic oath to like always help patients, but here people are like just trying to sell their book, and they don't
Yeah.
care if people get fat afterwards or anything
Yep.
like that.
Or seriously injure themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're not responsible, so like they go, unharmed, and they can keep doing whatever they're doing, and yeah, it really sucks.
So I know you want to go over some myths, some of the most common myths. Let's start with the not enough time myth.
Okay, so that was like one of the first things that I learned. I took a personal training course at Virginia Tech, and it's not required to become a personal trainer, but it's helpful. It's kind of like your study time instead of having to study, and it counted as credits, so I figured might as well take it. But that was one of the first things I learned in that class. My instructor was like, everybody has the same amount of time, which is so true, and it's so stupid to hear, but like it's so true. So whenever people say there's not enough time, I mean, that's just not true. Everybody has the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. There's people who, I'm not saying that you should be giving up your sleep, because sleep is also, super important to your health. But there's people who, sleep 6 hours and work, 10 hours and have kids and whatever. They might have, a full plate and can still find time to work out. And I think that's pretty important.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is people, they feel like they either have to not work out or go all in on the workout and spend like an hour and a half at the gym. But you can get like a lot out if you don't.
Definitely.
Like,
I mean, I can pump out a super efficient workout in under 30 minutes, and it's all about doing something. You could work out for 10 minutes, whether it be, like walking or whatever, and that's going to be better than you not working out at all. Mm-hmm. And everybody has an extra 10 minutes in their day, and if you say that you don't, then you're just lying.
I think another big shift for me in looking at time and getting into the gym and working out and all that is realizing that the time I spend in there tends to improve the quality of time for the rest of my day and the rest of my week and all of that. And but it just, I have more energy, more focus, things like that. I tend to be, when I'm going to the gym, I tend to be thinking more about what I eat, making sure I get more sleep. And so when I view it like that, it's not so much that it's taking up my time, it's really helping the rest of my day.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it's helping the rest of your time.
Yeah,
it's energizing. One of my favorite things to do actually after taking like a hard test or something is just to go straight to the gym, because it releases all the stress, and I just feel a lot healthier after like studying for 5 hours just sitting in a chair.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
So another one of the myths before we move on, I want to really get into like the non-physical benefits of that in a bit. So I want to get to the myths. Targeted fat loss myth.
Okay, so that's like one I always have to stress. I see, like I said, even fitness professionals, quote unquote, just saying, do these 5 exercises to target like your lower ab fat. That is not possible. You cannot. That is not how it works.
Yeah.
So basically, how fat is put on your body is always genetic. It's different for everybody. But whatever goes on first is going to be the hardest to come off. So if you put fat in your abs first, and then in your back, and then in your arms, you're going to work them out and lose them in your arms first. So it's like that was the hardest place for it to store, so it'll be the easiest one for it to give up, whereas your abs are going to be last. So it's kind of like a little pyramid.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, fat burning comes as a consequence of your body doing work and burning through that energy, and it doesn't matter where on your body you're doing work.
Exactly.
And so like doing crunches doesn't, working whatever muscle that is in proximity to the fat that you want to burn.
It has nothing to do with it.
They have nothing to do with each
right.
other.
Yeah. All you're doing when you're working out is working the muscle. You're not working the fat at all.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's get to the next myth. That you said dieting and detoxing. Do you want to talk about those separately, or?
Kind of together.
Okay.
So
I'm interested about detoxing because it's something I always see, especially on social media.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what is that?
It's
right.
one of the few things I haven't like really looked into heavily. So.
Okay, so it's not something that I have extensive knowledge in, but I do know basics about that, and I know a lot about dieting. So pretty much the most important point that I want to stress about dieting is, again, just as is true for everything, there is no one diet fits all. a lot of the diets with names aren't really that worthy. I mean, they might be like a quick fix, but what's most important is a lifestyle change. I have seen successes with several different diets, but then it's like as soon as you go back to eating, fast food 3 times a day for 3,000 calories and all this fat and all these carbs, you're gonna go straight back to what you're. So pretty much you have like a set point in your body weight. You can adjust it if you change your lifestyle, but as soon as you kind of drift down from that set point because of this quick fix diet, then you get off that quick fix diet, then you go back to your normal eating, you're gonna go straight back to your set point.
Yeah. That's the yo-yo dieting. Is that what they call it?
Kinda.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's a whole bunch of just different diets that are just not effective like that at all. Again, it's much more about lifestyle change. So then for the detox, very similar. You see 30-day detox or 1 week or 10 days or whatever it is. Same thing. You might feel better as soon as the detox is done. You're going to be putting the same things in your body again. Detox isn't going to keep you clean for like a year. It's not something you can do once a year and like, oh, you're fine. As soon as you start putting those toxins, quote unquote, in your body again, it's going to go back to what you were at before.
As I understand it, it's and I don't really understand it. That like the idea of a detox is really you're just like eating healthy, right?
Exactly. So that you can do that.
Just not eating like things that are really bad.
There's just like crazy detoxes too that people think are like so they work. It's like lemon and water, and that's all you have for like 7 days. That's just crazy to me. That's not very smart. It's not really gonna do much. You can have lemon and water with your meals every day, and it's going to have kind of the same effect because as soon as you're done with that detox, then you go back to normal. So
and I would think lemon and water without other meals would be really bad because you're not getting nutrients.
Exactly. You might detox, but you're also like kind of starving your muscles and your blood, your brain. So it's not very good.
While we're on the subject, what are the things that you think are like the worst that people put in their bodies, like excess sugar, alcohol?
Heroin.
That's kind of so
like the average person,
right? So I'm very much you're gonna see trainers and health professionals that are like, you should never eat this, you should never eat that. I'm not like that at all. I eat cookies and ice cream. Like I'm very much about like eat what you can maintain, just make substitutions. As far as like the worst thing, I would say saturated fats, because those straight up kill you. That's the fat that will clog your arteries. So that's what can cause strokes and heart attacks and organ failure. So that's probably, in my opinion, like the worst one. You find that in a lot of packaged foods, processed foods.
Like frozen meals type
yes.
stuff?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of things that should not have that much fat, for some reason, have so much fat. So that's probably the worst one in my opinion. You definitely don't want to eat too much sugar. You find so many things that so you're only supposed to have, really, for everybody, this is kind of a general guideline again, but no more than 50 grams of added sugar a day. A lot of, fruit drinks or just random packaged, snacks will have over that in just one serving. So in your whole day, you've already eaten all the sugar that you should have in one thing. So that's not good as well. But those are probably like the big ones, I would say.
I think this sort of brings me back to the idea of dieting as opposed to a lifestyle change. I think it's very easy for people to hear, oh, this is the bad thing that I shouldn't eat, or I need to eat this superfood, and then get focused and sort of fixated around that and think, oh, if I'm not eating this, then I'm good. Or if I'm eating this, I'm good. When in reality, that's just distracting from a holistic, nutritious diet and all that. And that's really where people's attention and focus should be.
Like holding yourself back from like those couple items is just going to like, it's not sustainable. Like once you'll like if it's something you really like, you're gonna try it
Exactly.
again at some point, and then you're just gonna fall back into
Yep,
that same
that's the
lifestyle.
worst problem that I see time and time again. It's like people have a little bit because they're, just craving it. They've starved themselves from it for so long. So they'll have a little bit and then they just get hooked again, as opposed to having it as a treat for themselves every once in a while or,
Yeah.
Something like that.
Sometimes I'll get a bag of chips from the store and I'll open it up and I'll just have like a few chips, and then I'll eat the entire bag because it's been so long since I've had chips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that same idea. Let's go to lifting makes you bulky, or I kind of want to hit it as in like the only way to do fitness is to get swole.
Right. Okay. So that's definitely a good myth to target. I listed it specifically like that because that's the most popular one that I see.
Yeah.
I train a lot of women. They think weightlifting is going to make them huge. I weightlift. You wouldn't be able to tell,
Especially because this is a podcast without a video component.
Yeah. But so that's like the biggest one that I hear. People think that I've had clients too that are like, I want this goal. They'll look at me and see that I'm not what they want and think that I'm gonna make them look like me for some reason. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to target your muscles, your body, that will have different effects. There are specific ranges for reps and sets for weightlifting that will cause you to either gain strength, gain muscle size, or gain muscle endurance. So if you're not hitting the muscle size one, you're not going to really grow in muscle size. Like you might tone up a little bit. Tone up, is a common phrase. It's not really, it doesn't really mean anything, but that's what people mean when they say tone up. It's like you're not going to get huge, but you are going to build muscle strength, I guess, but so there's definitely not one way to do everything.
Yeah.
Like you can specifically target, people's goals.
So, as far as the goals go, that's usually, I know you can like break it down into a few. It's usually like weight loss, strength gain, just like general cardio, bettering your cardio, and then size gain. Is that it, or am I missing? Or you can go through them again.
I mean, those are like there's combinations of them too.
Yeah.
You can hit two at the same time, and but yeah, generally that's pretty much one of the categories that people try to fall into. Pretty much like for my clients.
And if you had to break it down into like what people, the main things they should be focused on, like diet, exercise, sleep, and like maybe like a percentage of like how important each one is.
So that's kind of what I was gonna go with. So sleep, I think that's super important. I mean, you are not going to see very much progress in your health if you're not letting your body recover and do what it needs to do every night. I would honestly say sleep, nutrition, and the actual acts of exercise kind of divide pretty evenly,
Okay.
about 30% each,
Yeah.
importance wise. So I help people with both in my training, nutrition and exercising, and then I throw in the recommendations for sleep as well. I obviously can't help them sleep, but I stress them very, very much the same.
And I think that idea that diet is, as important, if then depending on your goals, if not more important than a lot of the time spent in gym, that's really, really big. And I think that pops up in places that people don't realize. And again, this is kind of from personal experience, from trying to build muscle and all that, realizing how important diet is, and that you can be spending a whole lot of time in the gym and exercising, but if you don't have those other things in line, you're not going to be seeing progress and
Right.
all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't realize until I started tracking my food that I was
Same here. Yeah.
getting like half the protein I needed if I wanted to like actually start gaining muscle.
Yeah.
So I just started eating a lot of chicken breasts.
Yeah.
I honestly, like for me in trying to build muscle, eating enough was the hard part. The lifting was, that was not so bad. Eating enough was the challenge.
Yeah.
That's the same thing for me.
I've had a lot of success with so I see all these diets, all like ketogenic diet, paleo diet. I see them as like ways to get to the same end, which I see like the end all be all of dieting is tracking your macros. Am I viewing that wrong?
No, I think that's smart. I don't do that just because I don't like to go crazy over that.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
only need to do it like if you have a problem. in
That's
your-
true.
Yeah, or
So
if you have a really strong goal.
right. So I have all my clients, because they have me, they don't need to do it themselves. I have them all enter their food into an app, and then I look and see what they're eating, so I can help give them recommendations without them even knowing what they're doing. You know, they'll just tell me what they're eating, and then I'll tell them, you know, what to fix or what looks good. Whereas, you know, if people don't have a trainer or somebody to help them with that, then that's something that they kind of need to learn on their own. Which is pretty important. And there are, like I said, the apps that they use can kind of help steer you in that direction. But especially for somebody who's new or knows absolutely nothing, that
Yeah.
can be difficult for sure.
So you think the apps are pretty good at like keeping track of everything?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, you know, because those aren't really giving you, I mean, you can put in your goals, you can put in all your, you know, height, weight, age, and it will kind of give you the general guideline. Like I said, everybody's different, so that's not going to be maybe 100% what's perfect for you. But that's helpful, especially for a beginner.
How do people tell like in which way they're different? Do they just have to experiment?
So you can tell in the obvious physical ways, you know, if you're tall, you know, foot taller than somebody else, obviously your needs are going to be a little bit different than theirs. If your goals are different from somebody else, they're going to be different. But especially comparing somebody who's exactly the same, you know, size and they have the same goals, they still might have different needs. So that is a little bit experimentation. I mean, everybody has to do that. You know, you aren't expected to know everything about yourself and your body and what exactly you should do, especially when you have no knowledge. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a huge part of it.
I would think outside of just people's bodies, people's lifestyles are different, and that's
Exactly.
gonna affect what they need to
Definitely, 100%.
Do you think any of those new, I don't know how far along they are, but there's like genetic testing being done to figure out like which diets are best for people. Do you think that has any future?
I don't know. That stuff's kind of same thing, you know, it's like, oh, the newest
Yeah.
technology. So that's something that kind of just have to wait and see how people, you know, react to it. But I don't know. It's possible, I guess. Yeah, I won't rule it out for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely am not going to say that that's going to work for sure either.
What's the number one worst fad diet if you had to name one?
Oh, okay. So honestly, I would say this doesn't have a name. But the biggest mistake I see people making is thinking that if they don't eat, that they're gonna lose weight. That is such a huge, and it's like a diet, I guess people could say, but it's just a huge mistake. Your body actually goes into like a storage mode because it's kind of scared that you're gonna die. So anything that you put in your body after that point, it stores instead of like, you know, processing it and using it. It's thinking, okay, I don't know when I'm going to eat again, so I have to save all of this. So I'd say that's the worst diet plan, I guess.
Is that part of why when people are like into like maybe trying to lose weight, it starts going off, like their fat loss starts pretty fast and then like it'll slow down? Is that the body like trying to keep the fat because it recognizes that it's losing weight?
Yeah, I would say so. Because, yeah, maybe right at, you know, at the beginning, your body's not going to think that if you skip a meal, you know, once or twice,
Yeah.
that it's like, oh, I'm going to die. So it might not start right away, but that's definitely not the way to do it long term.
And I think it also goes back to the theme of a quick fix versus a changing your habits and all
Right,
that.
exactly.
Just not eating isn't sustainable.
And people don't know that, you know, they think, which is for the most part true, like calories in and calories out, that's the answer. But yeah, exactly. It's more about finding out what's right and then maintaining that lifestyle.
So you can know all the science, all the facts. How do people like keep going? How do they like keep themselves encouraged and on the right path? I think you probably have more experience with that since you like coach people through that.
Right. So the hardest part about that is people think that, you know, I've had people who have done a 5-week package and think that, you know, they're going to lose 50 pounds. And so I think it's more the unrealistic expectations that people set for themselves. What I try to do is give them examples, realistic information about, you know, what they can expect as we go through. And then when they're meeting those examples, it kind of keeps them motivated to push them through, see through the end. But I think that's definitely a huge problem because, like I said, people just think it's going to be kind of an overnight thing, oh, I have a trainer and I'm eating right. And no, you have to think about, okay, if you're, 50, you've been doing this to your body for 50 years, it's not going to go away overnight,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about like setting goals? So that's good. What kind of goals do people? I have a problem with people when they set literal weight loss goals and look at them like every single day because they. So what kind of goals are good and what kind of goals are bad?
So again, that's kind of like a person-to-person basis. For the most part, I do have clients that like want to weigh themselves every day and say, oh, I gained 3 pounds since yesterday and blah blah blah. A lot of that is up to the science of that's totally normal. People just don't know that happens.
Water weight.
Yeah.
Yes. So fluctuations for your metabolism when you're processing things, when you go to the bathroom, when you eat, like it all plays a role. So it's kind of, I don't know, like a very hold on, I lost my train of thought. What did you ask again?
I said what kind of goals are good and what kind of goals are bad.
So it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
I would say probably for the most part, the most important goal, kind of mark to have in mind is how you feel. That'd be the best indicator of kind of how you're doing.
But really pay attention to like how your physical body's feeling, right?
Both, like mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like those urges, like I really feel like I want to eat some turnovers right now. But so you got to separate those like.
That's not terrible though, because I actually like this week had a client who kind of broke from her usual being really strict with her diet and splurged, and she was like, wow, I'm glad I did that because I realized how much I didn't miss that. I feel terrible now. So it's not terrible for that to happen either. Like if you really feel like doing something, do it. And you're either not going to make progress or you are. Either way, it's kind of a helpful thing to have happened.
That's one thing I heard about a while ago. People that eat a lot of junk food, their gut bacteria kind of like gets it like there's more bacteria of the kind that wants the junk food.
Yeah.
So it'll make you have those urges for the junk food.
Yep.
And do you know around how long that is before that changes?
Okay. I'm not too familiar with that.
Yeah, I just know that like it happened with me with chips again recently. I didn't eat for like a month chips, and then I had some last night, and I was like, I really don't miss this. So it's like really helpful that your body actually adapts for like the better of you.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's almost like our bodies want to keep us alive.
Yeah,
and healthy.
exactly. Your body will naturally, eventually crave what it needs.
Do you have anything, Max?
No.
Okay. There was something else. Oh yeah, I wanted to get into the non-physical benefits of working out.
So I actually had the most experience with that working as a trainer at Virginia Tech. I was part of this heart program, which basically worked through the counseling center and worked with people who had different mental, whether it was something nutritional that was mental, like anorexia or depression, and kind of their prescription was to work out. So I would help them try to feel better. And what we did learn in a lot of my classes was the types of working out that helped with that. And for the most part, it's cardio, not anything crazy, but that's found to be the most beneficial for a lot of mental disorders. But even in general, just weightlifting, getting kind of like whether it's you're meeting your goals and you feel really good or whatever, you're going to have, mental improvements within yourself too when you find yourself like working out consistently or meeting your goals. I don't know of anybody that has mentally felt worse when they've started working out really consistently, maybe at the beginning, this happens to me, or it's happened to me before too. Like if I take a break for a little bit and then I get back into it, I'm like, man, I'm so set back, like feeling down on myself. But then I'm like, okay, well, this is the first day. I'm just going to keep going from here, and then eventually I feel awesome. Like I've been on it for, weeks and whatever. So it feels awesome. But I've never met anybody that's felt worse after starting to be really consistent
I
with
think
working
just
out.
having that sense of control in your life, of that's something I think I love the most about weightlifting and fitness and all that, is that you can have these sort of really specific goals, and then you
Right.
can know what to do to get there and then do it. And
Yeah.
that's really satisfying.
Yeah.
And in addition to just feeling good, that contributes to just a sense of discipline and a
Right.
sense of having your life together. That's
Right.
nice.
I think it's definitely like a combination of the actual chemical reactions that go on when you're working out, and then also just feeling kind of proud of yourself.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I was depressed for a while, but I was definitely in some kind of slump. And one of the things that definitely helped me get out of it was like start tracking like my lifts and everything. It just gave me such like self-confidence, as well as like, all right, I'm making progress in this area of life. And it also like just tracking that kind of stuff and like seeing progress helped me
Right.
like understand how to do that in other areas of my life.
And it's cool too because you are yourself and you see your body every day
Yeah.
and you don't notice the changes. But if you track them, take progress pictures or track your body composition, and then you work out consistently and then take more pictures or do more measurements, and then you see how far you've come, you might, surprise yourself. Like I've had clients that have, not even believed how much progress they've made because you don't realize it. So I think it's cool the effects it can have mentally.
Yeah. And not like saying you should work out for other people or anything, but when somebody notices like that you have become healthier and it's because of like the hard work you've put in, it's one of the
Yes.
best feelings.
Definitely. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
On that note of working out for other people and all that versus working out for yourself and all that, I think one of the other huge benefits in working out is it helps you to destroy insecurities and things like that. I think a lot of the guys that I've spoken to, I used to run track and cross country, and so I was really skinny, and all my friends were really skinny, and we were younger. There's a lot of insecurities that go along with that, and a lot of my friends who were sort of in the same boat as me have experienced the same thing of starting lifting or something like that because they're insecure
Right.
about their bodies. But as you go and move forward with it, you realize that in addition to actually improving on those areas that you were insecure about, like, I don't know, you realize that you don't need to be, and just spending time sort of in that world amongst other people who are often in the same sort of position
Right.
as you, talking with them, is a really, really positive way to get past some of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that it's not like the actual sometimes the actual changes do make a difference, but it's really like that you are working towards like solving your problem instead of just like observing it like passively.
Yeah, exactly. Feel better about yourself. when
That's
you do
pretty
that.
much any kind of struggle in life. Like you're gonna feel bad about it until you like start working on it, and then once you start working on it, you just feel so much
Yeah.
better.
And it's hard. Like, I get it. It's hard sometimes to feel like, you have to start from the beginning or, but it's just amazing when you actually finally do.
Yeah. And for all those people out there that are scared to go to the gym because they don't want to look like the weak one or the person that doesn't know what they're doing, like, first of all, no one cares what you look like in the gym unless like you look like you're about to hurt yourself. And
True.
also, everybody in there is like has been in the same boat
Yes,
as you, and
exactly.
they want to help you. Get
Anybody
to that
who
level.
cares about that kind of stuff is not somebody that you should care about. Like,
Yeah.
I know, speaking from my perspective and all of my friends who are, trainers or have worked in kind of the industry as well, we all want everybody to be there and to do well. Like, if we're looking at somebody, same thing. We're kind of more just looking at their form. Sometimes I'll go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, do you mind if I give you some advice?" If anybody's like giving you weird looks, you shouldn't be concerned about those people anyways. Those are not the type of people that you should care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to sort of the mental benefits and all of that, I think that shift in realizing that everybody there,
Yeah.
is working through their own stuff, doesn't care unless they're like trying to help you out usually and all that. That's one of the really big benefits about just being in that kind of space and
Yeah.
working with it. Because I remember when I started lifting being all terrified of everybody, thinking everybody is judging me or this and that. But just spending a lot of time with other people who are working towards those same goals in the same sort of position as you, I think that that's where a lot of positive change can come from.
Exactly.
Is acclimating to it and realizing it's all good.
I could never imagine, I don't see it happen, but I could never imagine somebody who's totally new walking into the gym. They could probably ask anybody in the gym for some advice or some help, and I would almost be willing to bet that nobody would turn them down. Like, everybody would want to help. Even if they were, the type of person who's not the best, they would still want to help.
Yeah. It's great. It's kind of like how people in Silicon Valley and stuff have those like entrepreneur startup areas. Like, you want everyone that's like working towards the same goal in the same house, because it just builds that that
Why
sense
wouldn't
of
you want
growth.
that? Yeah.
And that's like what a gym is.
Right.
It's kind of cool.
Physically.
Yeah.
It's the place of growth.
Yeah, you can see it happening too. So for those people, so we talked about like how some people are insecure and weightlifting like helps them by like mainly helping them recognize like there's no need to be insecure.
Yeah.
Obviously there are some people who like, I don't know if this happens after they start working out or they start working out because of this, but like those insecurities stay with them and they like try to get too skinny or too swole. Some people say there's no such thing as too swole, but I think there are people that put too much of their life into it.
Yeah. That's a problem. I would say it's not like a huge problem, at least in that direction. Maybe in the, wanting to be too skinny, and that's definitely not healthy either. I don't see that as like a very common thing that happens. It's kind of hard to say like how to know or, how to make sure that none of your friends are going through that or you're not going through that, because again, that's super personal. I think that it's something important to make a part of your everyday, like eating and sleeping. But I don't think it's
you mean
something
working out?
Yes,
okay.
Specifically.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's something that you should just drive yourself crazy over and make that the only thing that you care about, to the point where it's like affecting relationships or affecting your work or, anything else in your life.
And
really.
like you said, there's a lot of different ways to work out. So it's not always you have to be working out to get skinnier or you have to be working out to bulk up.
Right. It's more about being healthy, the healthiest you can be, or, the healthiest you have the ability to be with whatever time you have, or just working towards.
And just enjoying all those mental health benefits that we're talking about.
Exactly.
So we kind of talked about like the more like personal, like emotional mental health benefits. What about like, is there any literature linking like improved cognitive performance to working out?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not like super in, I don't know a bunch about that research, but I know that there's definitely a link between those two things.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's something I'm pretty interested in because I'm always trying to better myself in every way, and doing something like working out just helps so many different areas of life.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of the same thing. It is not only like the chemical reactions that would help that, but it's also kind of like the focus that you make yourself have, is going to help, work your brain in certain ways or.
And what you're talking about is helping yourself de-stress and just regulating your emotional state and all of that. I think those benefits absolutely. This is anecdotal, but absolutely have played out in my life to helping me with.
I think it's definitely a potential benefit for anybody that works out. Might not like totally cure whatever you're feeling, but it's
gain
like I
50
said,
IQ points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's definitely. It's not going to hurt as long as you're doing it the right way.
Yeah. And do you consider, this is kind of off that topic, but do you consider like yoga and meditation to be within your field of knowledge about, is that something are those kinds of like more mental fitness things something you learned about at all?
We definitely learned about them. That's not something I focused on because for me personally, that's not what I'm most interested in doing for myself or in teaching other people, but I am a total advocate for them. I have people who have asked me what I think about them, and I'm all for it. I tell them about my friend who is a yoga teacher, and she's got the best arms, like she doesn't do any weightlifting, but she's like so strong and like it's awesome, so I definitely advocate for that.
I think even if not consciously, actively, if you're aware of it per se, but almost all exercise I see as being a form of meditation. I said earlier I started off as a runner. That was before I got into meditation or anything like that. But as I look back, like going on long runs and things like that, that's absolutely meditation. Like, and
Yeah.
that's your mind gets right into the same place. You see a lot of the same benefits, and I feel the same way going to the gym or things
Right.
like that. And I think it's interesting that that is the vehicle for most people, I feel, to have mindfulness, meditation, and all that in their lives is through fitness.
Yeah. And it's cool too because you can do it. I mean, there's no one way to do fitness. Even though I talked about all the ways to do kind of weightlifting, you know, there's for size and for strength and whatever. There's also yoga, there's Zumba, there's, you know, Pilates. There's so many things that you can do. And probably one of the most important things about getting those benefits is finding what you enjoy the most. Otherwise, you're not really going to love it. You're not going to find those benefits.
Yeah. Even things like dancing and stuff can be fitness.
Definitely.
So we talked a lot about like things you can tell, things like you know as a personal trainer that can help people. What have you learned that's helped you as a personal trainer? Like, has it helped you develop in any ways in life?
Oh, definitely. As far as like health and fitness, I have to constantly stay updated with like my education. You, as a personal trainer, like your certification expires after 2 years. So I've already passed my expiration and had to do courses to get it back. So I'm, you know, constantly staying educated.
That's cool. That's cool to have
It's awesome.
a lifestyle where you keep learning.
Yes, it's so I love it. So obviously that helps me know what to do with myself better. And again, it's the new information, so I have to take it with a grain of salt. But it's really cool to be able to have that, you know, constant flow of information. I have learned, you know, more discipline with. So kind of going back a little bit. When I first started training, it was mostly college students because I trained at college. And then now it's mostly like adults, you know, huge business owners, whatever. So I have to kind of know how to train different people differently. So I've learned how to do that through my experience with clients that I've never had before. And that's also kind of spread into other parts of my life, you know, kind of taken in mind, this is how I can help this person or talk to this person, or so this might be how I can do it with this person in my life, or with this, you know, focus in my other job, or, you know, with my family or friends. You know, I kind of learn how to deal with people, which is cool.
I find things like what you do and those person to person really inspiring, because whenever I'm thinking of like helping people and solving problems, I'm always thinking like, can I like change the environment they're in to make them work better? And I think it's really, I've never been that kind of person that can like just inspire people directly like that. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not something that I feel like I just naturally had, but like I said, it's been something I've been able to grow through my experience.
So we're coming up on an hour, I believe. Is there any parting words you'd like to say to people as far as like the best way they can get into fitness, or like the best channels,
or just any message to the masses?
So it's definitely hard to say just one word of advice.
It's kind of putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
but
you can give several.
Like I said, you know, throughout the whole thing, the most important thing is that everybody's different. Don't be afraid. Try to get educated. Those would be my 3 big points.
And I like that those all carry very nicely over to life as a whole.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works. Where can they find you?
Well, I live in Richmond, so
Maybe like your Instagram or something.
I have a LinkedIn. My name is Shannon Puebla.
Yeah.
I think I might have my resume there, and I mean, if anybody wanted to ask me questions there, you could message me for sure.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, very good. All right, that has been the Odin Podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.